Hey, love. Welcome to Shift Happens with Shay, your soft space for mental health, relationships, and self growth. Let's shift into healing together. Hi, guys. Welcome back to Shift Happens with Shay. So, if you've been called lazy or you've been calling yourself lazy lately, if you've been wondering why things that used to feel easy now feel heavy, if you keep asking yourself, what's wrong with me? I want you to take a breath with me because today's episode is here to offer you something else, an alternative to laziness. How about relief from shame? This is not a productivity episode. This is not a get your life together conversation. This is a compassion episode. And I want you to start by saying this clearly. You are not lazy. You are overwhelmed. We're going to talk about how being overwhelmed is us in survival mode, and it disguises itself as a burnout. So many high achieving women carry this quiet guilt. We sit with unfinished tasks, we avoid emails, text messages, maybe even phone calls. We struggle to start things we actually want to do. And instead of asking what's happening inside of us, we jump straight to judgment. Do any of these sound familiar? I should be able to do this. Other people manage. I'm just not disciplined enough. But what if the story is wrong? What if it's your nervous system doing exactly what it's designed to do? Protect you. When the body feels overwhelmed, unsafe, or stretched too thin, it doesn't motivate. It conserves. It slows down. It shuts down. That's not laziness. That's survival. You've been working and pushing in overdrive for too long. So long that you didn't notice the warning signs in your body. Your body has been already ringing the alarm, yet you kept pushing because we are conditioned to see rest and a reset as laziness. But now this has put us in survival mode. And we're going to talk about what survival mode really looks like. Because survival mode doesn't always look like panic or chaos. That's how everybody wants us to think so that we can keep pushing. But that stops today. Sometimes your survival mode can look like procrastination. I know that very well. Sometimes you just can't muster up the motivation to just push through a project. So you just push it off, push it off, push it off. I'll get to it. And you know that you need to get it done. You're in survival mode. Numbness. Things that used to bring you joy, you used to actually behave or have a reaction towards it. And now it doesn't do anything. It's hard to spark anything within you. Scrolling instead of starting. We just scroll, scroll, scroll. Look, look, look. Fantasize, fantasize. Think, think, think. But no execution. Feeling frozen even when you care. You ever felt like it's been so difficult to really tap into yourself, to tap into that piece of you, to actually express it? It's there, it's yelling, it's caged inside you, saying, I do care, I do, but you're unable to emote. And as I mentioned, losing motivations for the things that lit you up, your brain isn't broken, it's overloaded. When your nervous system has been running on high alert for too long, it chooses protection over productivity. And that sounds to me like a very sophisticated system. It knows we're running too low. We're on low fumes. We are past the E gauge. Because from a survival perspective, rest is safer than risk. Stillness is safer than effort. Avoidance is safer than disappointment. And I'm going to slow that down because I know earlier I mentioned that we're conditioned to not rest and rest is lazy. So, how could rest be safer than a risk? Because when you're in survival mode and you can't do and you're frozen, sitting there is better than taking the risk of failure. Because if I try now, I'm probably going to fall apart. If I take one more step, I'm going to collapse. I cannot afford anybody to see me in that way. And I say rest, not even like a genuine rest. In a physical sense, yes, your body's going to rest. So if you don't get enough sleep, your body will put you to sleep. Point blank, period. Like there's nothing you can do to stop it. It's going to work the way it needs to work. If you don't do it, your body will do it. And I'm a firm believer of that. So rest in this sense is you collapsing. This is it. This is the burnout. Collapsing at home feels safer than risking the project, risking the email, risking the call, risking anybody seeing us this way. So you stay to yourself. Avoidance is safer than disappointment. So if you've been stuck, it's not because you don't want to move forward. It's because your body doesn't feel safe enough to do it. It does not feel the risk is worth it. And this affects high achieving women because we are especially vulnerable to this. This hits hard for us. We learned early that being capable kept us safe, that being responsible earned love, that if I do enough, I give enough, I will be accepted, I will be seen, I will get approval. That not needing too much meant I'm not a burden. But our achievements have become our armor. We learned how to push, how to perform, how to keep going, even when we were tired. Let that sink in. Not listening to our natural alarm system. We self-neglected and self-abandoned and instead recalibrated ourselves inefficiently to perform for others in order to receive love, praise, and not to be seen as too much so that we can belong. But the part that no one talks about, when your worth gets tied to output, rest starts to feel dangerous. Genuine rest feels dangerous. Slowing down feels like a failure. Pausing feels like letting people down. And when burnout finally hits, we blame ourselves instead of the system that taught us to overextend. Let it sink. Just hold that for a moment. Because I'm sure as I'm saying this, because for myself, I have so many examples pushing through in my mind, just going flashbacks of when I crossed my own boundaries, when I worked overtime while salary, because you know you don't get no OT for salary. And I pushed and pushed and pushed, made myself accessible because my worth was tied to my output. I was praised for my output. I was praised for my generous accessibility. I was praised for my flexibility. I was praised because I found the answers on my own and struggled on my own to make it easy for everybody else to come to me, the book of knowledge. But no one talks about what was the price of becoming the knowledge. Nobody talked about the risk and the self neglect that happens to become the knowledge for other people, to become the reliable one, the one who needs not much, just enough, if that. Where self sufficient was distorted and twisted into not needing help. And that's further from the truth. We needed it. I needed it. You needed it. Not finding the answers and not pushing through was a failure because we feared disappointment. But why were we so content on being okay disappointing ourselves and being more distressed at disappointing others? You were worth being a priority. You were worth feeling disappointed if you let yourself down. But we feared that people would leave us. That is your inner child screaming, "Don't leave me. Don't ignore me. Don't make me invisible. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be a burden. If I'm not perfect, I won't receive love." Do those hit for you? They hit for me too. Because I've mentioned in previous episodes, especially my inner child episode, that inner child needs the archetypes. You are either an overachiever, you are a perfectionist, you are a caregiver or people pleaser. Maybe you are a combination of all. And the overachiever hurts because she doesn't want to be invisible again. So she performs and keeps performing to stay in the spotlight, despite that it hurts. The child who became the perfectionist was so afraid of disappointing, of being a burden, of that if they fell apart and if they weren't perfect, they would be rejected. Because you can't make mistakes. It's only when I was perfect that I was accepted. Mistakes, they're too high of a risk. Or the people pleaser who doesn't want to be a burden, who wants to belong, so gives, literally until they have nothing left. And even with nothing left, still try to muster up something to give, yet not receiving anything in return because you're performing to belong, self-abandoning to belong. Imagine the younger version of you, the one who learned to be good, easy, mature, strong, understanding, an angel. Oh, not a troublemaker. What did she need to feel safe? Take that moment. What did she need? I needed to know that it was okay to make a mistake. Because so often my sister and I were compared to each other. I am the eldest. You don't really have anybody to model off of when you're the eldest. But even being the eldest sibling, you learn by interactions your younger siblings have. And I've always thought about this. I've always heard I was an easy child. It was good. I wasn't a problem. And I know how those statements impacted my sister. And I'm not sure I really spoke to the extent of how that impacts me. Being perfect. My family knows it now as we've had tearful conversations. But even at the time, I always knew if I do what they say, they'll leave me alone. I can't get in trouble. If I do what they say, there won't be no trouble. If I do what they say, I'll always get a reward. If I'm the good one, if I keep my head down, if I don't get in trouble, if I don't do anything wrong, if I always exceed, if I overachieve, if I am perfect in every type of way, there will be no consequence. And that pressure, and I'm not saying my mother did that to me. Honestly, my mom told me I could come home with B's and it would still be great. But I think about how upset at 10 years old I was to receive my first F. Looking back, little Shay thought her mom would disown her, stop loving her, because she wasn't getting straight A's. She wasn't getting attendance awards. She wasn't being the best. And mom needs the best because mom's life is hard enough. I can't make it harder. I can't make it harder. So if I make my needs invisible, if I don't throw a tantrum, if I don't crash out, I'll make her life easier. And if I'm easy, I'm lovable. And if I achieve, I'm praisable. I'm capable. There's a purpose for me. There's value to me. Maybe you felt that way too. I found safety in that because I saw what making mistakes or maybe not being quote unquote enough look like. I didn't want to struggle like my sister. So I said, girl, just do this, that, and the third. I became a fixer. Do this like I do. It will be easier. Move like this, do like this. And sometimes you think it comes from a good place, and I'm sure it did. You try to protect others in the way that protects you, but it didn't feel safe to her, and honestly, it doesn't feel safe to me now. I just needed to continually know, you're loved regardless of whether you make a mistake. You know, just because if you get a C, even though I told you B's were okay, C's are fine too. Of course, I know you're capable of B's and A's, but I don't require B's and A's because my love for you was not attached to the B's and the A's. My mother was very loving, and she still is. But I was praised so much for being an overachiever. It felt nice. And I'm sure it felt nice too. But it wasn't safe because it felt like rest wasn't a thing. Could you rest without consequences? Maybe that's what you needed to feel safe. Maybe you needed support without strings. Maybe you needed love without attention or achievement, actually. When that didn't exist, those things I've mentioned, rest without consequences, support without strings, love without achievements, when that didn't exist, you adapted. I adapted. We adapted, and we learned to push, to perform, to disappear when overwhelmed. So now when exhaustion shows up, it's not laziness. It's an inner child who's tired of carrying too much alone. She is so tired. Let's reflect. What did I have to do to be considered good enough growing up? What did I have to do to be considered good enough growing up? Let that land with compassion, not blame. So here's the truth, because we're going to gently come out of survival mode. Productivity culture won't tell you that you don't exit survival mode by pushing harder. You exit it by feeling safer. And that starts small. Instead of asking, what should I be doing? Try asking, what feels possible today? Instead of perfection, choose pieces. Instead of urgency, choose regulation. Instead of more pressure, choose more margin. Rest isn't something you earn after productivity. Rest is what makes productivity possible, girl. You have to rest. You have to pour into you first. Take care of you. Put the oxygen mask on you first before trying to attend to everybody else. You can't be productive without taking care of yourself. You can't productivity everybody else's problems away. You can't do everybody's problems away. You can't perfect everybody's issues and problems away. And that's not going to lead to your safety or validation or approval or belonging. Start with rest, my love. Your nervous system needs evidence that slowing down won't cost you anything. And you can offer that gently, consistently, without force. You can do it. So let's take a breath here because, oh, Shay, you're getting all into it because I get it. I identify with you. I too am a high achieving woman who has performed to belong and engaged in self abandonment and self neglect to be praised, to be approved, to be seen, to be loved, to be heard. I got it. So we're going to do a little bit more of guided reflection. So let's slow it down. And always as a reminder, if you are driving while listening to me, you can reflect out loud. Reflect out loud with me. But if you are in a safe space, pull out your diary, pull out your journal, pull out your notepad, or even go to the note sections on your phone and let's reflect together and ask yourself these three questions. Where am I judging myself instead of listening to my body? Where am I judging myself instead of listening to my body? What does my nervous system need before it can create? What does my nervous system need before it can create? What would compassion change about how I move today? What would compassion change about how I move today? Take some time with that. Where are you judging yourself? So, and I'll reflect with you guys. Where am I judging myself instead of listening to my body? Being, let's see, my body. You guys already know that I have hypothyroidism, so I have an immune disorder. So, I mean, I am forced to listen to my body more now than ever. But when I judge myself, when I can't do certain activities, I can't perform the way I can because my body hurts. I tell myself, why aren't you enough? Like, what are you doing? Just get going, go. You can do it. You can muscle through it. And I have to be okay with telling myself no and just honoring my disappointment. Yeah, I'm not perfect and it's okay. My nervous system needs calm to create. Before even doing this podcast episode, honestly, I I definitely procrastinated with this bad boy, as you guys have noticed with my past ones. And that is the overachiever in me being like, oh no, I can't disappoint my subscribers. And, and when I see the numbers drop down and like, I'm not consistent, I'm failing. And consistency isn't about failing. I shouldn't feel like I have to do numbers or crunch numbers. My nervous system doesn't need that to achieve, to create. It actually just needs flow. It just needs freedom. It needs calm. So I'm going to listen to music. I'm going to dance my little heart out. I'm going to take a nice deep breath and have some water and put myself first. I have to be regulated before I can guide you guys. You need a regulated presence in order to know what regulation feels like, right? And compassion changes so much because even how I move today, I'm able to show up for you guys 100% me. Knowing that, yeah, I could have did this earlier, but it's still good because I know it's hitting for y'all as it's hitting for me. Compassion allows me to shine. It allows me to thrive. It allows me to connect with myself. I'm no longer avoidant. Let's anchor this with a few affirmations. You can repeat them silently or out loud. I am not lazy. I am learning my limits. My worth is not measured by output. I move at the pace of safety. Let those settle into your body. If there's one thing I want you to carry from this episode, it's this. Overwhelm is not a character flaw. I know, crazy to believe, right? Something so simple. But it's not a character flaw, it's information. Your body isn't failing you, it's communicating with you. And you don't need to push harder. You need to feel safer. Yes, safer. This week, I want you to notice one moment where you choose softness instead of self-criticism. Because that's healing. That's progress. And my love, that is more than enough. Thank you for being here with me today and for listening and for letting this space hold you. I love holding space for you guys. I truly do. And if this landed for you and you would like more, of course, I'm going to give you more podcasts and gems. But if you want to take another step towards coming back to yourself, in April, yes, April, in April, we are coming back to self-discovery. It's for the woman who's ready to reconnect with who they are beyond survival, beyond the roles we were given, and beyond the expectations. Originally, this was for April 11th, but this will be now on April 18th. It will be from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it is virtual, so it is open to women all over. There is limited space because I love to hold a container for women to create a community, feel safe, and express themselves as we dive into these spaces of curiosity and reflection without presence. What pressure, I mean. Because we're going to be exploring our identity, our inner voice, and the quiet parts of ourselves that may have been overlooked while we were busy holding everything together. So I hope to see you there. April 18th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, virtual. You could find this on the website at shifthappenswithshay.com/events. Thank you again for letting me hold space for you. Until next time, be gentle with yourselves, my love. You're doing better than you think. All right, go ahead and be great, girl. Mwah! Thanks for spending this time with me on Shift Happens with Shay. Be sure to subscribe and check the link in the description for more ways to shift into healing.